It was like my first corporate job. It was naive. First job, Green Castle, Indiana, executive sous chef. Walk in the place. First thing a lady tells me, "Oh, you're going to be our boss. You're Mexican?" Yes. You have to have patience with us. Mexicans clean dishes.
Whoa.
We're not used for Mexicans to tell us what to do.
Wow.
But you seem nice. And I was like, I mean, it's my first day, and I'm naive. Like, I'm sorry, but I was like very naive, and I was like, okay.
Welcome to Pan Con Podcast. I am Nick Jimenez. Today we are not joined by Petey the dog, but we are joined as usual by 8th grade basketball MVP and chili cook-off champion Michael Beltran, as well as very special guest, Chef Karla Hoyos, who, if you follow all of Michael's things, you know, is on the verge of doing a collaboration dinner that I think will be out before this episode might be out after the dinner. It's
That's
possible.
a bummer.
Because we have the two Vanessa Garcia things, we have the Jorge thing. There's a lot of stuff. This podcast is like there's a lot happening here.
What?
He tells me like I don't know that. Like I get it. We have a lot of
there's a lot of stuff happening. But I think even for people who are at the dinner, which is pretty much sold out by this point.
Almost.
Yeah. So it's not like but I think that this podcast will be an interesting thing for people to take in after that dinner if they've gone, and if they haven't, this will be hopefully the thing that takes at least some people to Karla's upcoming restaurant. Is it Tacotomía?
Yes.
Tacotomía.
Wow. I was going to ask you how to say that.
Tacotomía. Taco to Miami. Tacotomía.
Oh, got it.
Oh, so it's not Tacotomía. It's Tacotomía.
Sí. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Before we talk about the collaboration, which we were just talking about, which is going to be great. Thanks for doing this. I know you're very busy and you work a lot. I think people who know you and have followed you a good amount know the amount of incredible good things that you've done, the great things you've done over the last few years. But before we get to like the last few years, let's start from the beginning and like what made you want to cook, like all these things, because I think it's very important to when we get to your restaurant, like after the couple of things that we talked about last week.
Well, I from Mexico. So I think part of like cooking and everything, it's like it's always been in me and it's always been in my family. Like I grew up with my grandmother mostly. My dad's side of the family is from Spain.
Oh yeah. What part of Spain?
Santander. Mm-hmm. My mother is like from the countryside in Mexico. So it's the typical telenovela. The rich family doesn't like the other family.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of my summers and a lot of like my holidays I will spend at the farm with my grandmother because my parents had to work.
Right.
So, just simple things like making the beans with my grandmother, making the nixtamal. She will grow her own corn. Like all of those things that I will see as like normal, like whatever, I will love to always, help her with that. And I will come home and I'll be like, hey, Mom, I'm going to cook the beans like my grandma taught me, or I'm going to do these like these. I was that weird child that instead of wanting Christmas presents, wanted cooking books, pastry.
That's amazing.
Like at 12, I will be like, I don't know how to explain it. I will get like so pumped up and excited. I remember my first, when I was 13, Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. I like begged my parents. They brought me a KitchenAid.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh. I cried. And I would like spend the whole Christmas making chocolate brownies and cookies.
That's amazing.
So it's always been something that I'm just passionate. It was baking before. Then I went to culinary school.
Where?
In Veracruz. I started in Veracruz. Before that, I spent a year in France. I told my dad that I was gonna, I wanted to learn French. I've always wanted to do languages. because my dad was not very happy about me doing cooking at that time. You know, it was like,
I feel like parents are never very happy about the cooking.
You know, they're like,
thing.
You like to fight, you just be a fucking lawyer. Like, you like to fight, like, you're going to be doing good. I'm like, no, I want to cook. So I went to do a course, like, on French. But I had this deal with the lady that I lived in, and I was like, I'll help you prep dinner, but if you take me every day at 2 a.m. to this bakery where I can work, of course, working for free, and they wouldn't let me do anything but like roll the dough or like clean the trays. But it was something, you know, like I got to experience a little bit. So I was there for a year, came back, did culinary school, and I started to like the savory side. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot even tell. You might remember, you know, the first time you get to try a chef coat and you think you are like the biggest thing in the world, like nothing can touch you because I have my chef coat on. So yeah, like in the middle of the school, I won like a competition, like to do like some like dishes with certain products, and they will pick like 6 people to go do a stage at like this 3 Michelin star restaurant in Spain. So I went, I did 3 months, and then I got along with the chefs very well, and they asked me to come back. So after that, I did my last year of college there. Like I did like an investigation with like my thesis. I did the investigation there at the laboratorio with Martin Brazategui. And after that, I went to Italy to work for a little bit. I worked for a year there, like a very traditional trattoria in Firenze. And I went back home, opened a catering business. It was doing amazing, very, very good. But then my dad's sister, she lives in Indiana, and the mayor of Indiana wanted to open a Mexican restaurant at a certain part of the town. And, you know, they were like, okay, we'll get you like a work permit and everything. If you come, open the restaurant, help us. And well, I did it. And 2 years after, it was going perfectly. And I wanted to leave.
How old were you then?
21, 20 something.
Young.
Yeah.
Man, that's young to open a restaurant. Whew.
Yeah. But I've always been a systems person. I think that's why too much. I think that's something that I need to learn, not be so square about how much systems I like. No,
I'm like the opposite.
You know,
I'm not
like
a systems person.
You know, I'm like ABC. Like,
yeah.
I don't want people. It's bad to say it. Like, I think something.
But
I
that's
need to
also
get better
a
at.
lot of like the baking and like pastry behind you has a lot to do with like systems, because it's all
like
structure.
Everything. You know, like. And, you know, when I was in Indiana, after I did the restaurant, you know, I was like, okay, I was like on this like special work visa. And I was like, okay, if I stay 2 years more, I can get like a green card. And then that way, you know, like as a young chef, I can go to Vegas and work in these beautiful restaurants. I never did it though. But I started to work for Bon Appetit, the food service company. So they're kind of like the high end food service company. And it was like my first corporate job. It was naive. First job, Greencastle, Indiana, executive sous chef. Walk in the place. First thing, a lady tells me, "Oh, you're gonna be our boss. You're Mexican." Yes. You have to have patience with us. Mexicans clean dishes. Ooh. We're not used for Mexicans to tell us what to do.
Wow.
But you seem nice. And I was like, it's my first day, and I'm naive. Like, I'm sorry, but I was like very naive, and I was like, okay. Like, of course, I didn't say anything. I could have, but you know, I was like, okay. Learn a lot from that job. You know, like there was even people that I will have to go to the CDP. So the CDP gives directions to the cook, because the cook will find it offensive to take direction from me.
Right.
Thanks to our sponsor, Aganorsa Leaf Cigars.
Aganorsa Leaf is renowned throughout the world for its signature flavor that possesses all the great attributes of Nicaraguan terroir, along with classic Cuban aroma and flavor.
Aganorsa Leaf is pleased to announce a brand new edition of Guardian of the Farm, Cerberus,
named after the mythical three-headed hound that stood watch at the gates of Hades. This exciting new Nicaraguan puro uses 100% Aganorsa leaf tobacco and is wrapped in Aganorsa's new Corojo 2012 cover leaf, which adds a level of complexity to the blend, adding light spice and a rich, smooth body to the blend.
When you smoke one of our world-class blends, you will experience the difference between ordinary tobacco and Aganorsa leaf. That's why we say our leaf is our strength. Learn more about Aganorsa leaf and use their store locator and find a cigar shop near you that carries their products at www.aganorsaleaf.com.
The two of us smoke Aganorsa leaf cigars often. We also offer them to a lot of our guests, like, for example, Dave Arvello, who every time I post a picture of a Cerberus mentions to me in my DMs or in a text how cool the band is, which it actually is a pretty slick-looking band. But also, I just want to note, little personal anecdote here, so it's not all totally straight-up red. I can say that Michael Beltran will absolutely not only vouch for the quality of Aganorsa cigars, but you met a Miami legend and handed him an Aganorsa cigar.
I did meet a Miami legend. I was smoking nearby Alonzo Mourning, and we had a conversation about cigars, and he handed me one of his, and I went inside. I bought this exact same cigar, and I handed Alonzo Mourning this Aganorsa cigar, and I said, try this. Thank me later.
I mean, if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. Aganorsaleaf.com.
Introducing the newest line from Drew Estate Cigars. 20 Acre Farm is a complex, refined, and medium-body cigar with a super oaky and cedary notes accompanied by a whisper of white pepper and a bright hint of citrus. Built at La Gran Fabrica, Drew Estate in Nicaragua, using a velvety, and I mean velvety, Ecuadorian Connecticut shade-grown wrapper.
Under that wrapper is a sun-grown Habano binder and a filler blend of Nicaraguan tobaccos from Esteli and Jalapa in perfect balance with the opulent and majestic Florida sun-grown leaf. Florida sun-grown is also the name of the farm where that tobacco is lovingly grown and harvested by Jeff Borshowitz, who's the guy you see in this video playing behind us, on his pristine 20-acre plot of land near the central Florida town of Claremont. I have actually been to that farm, along with plenty of other cigar tobacco farms in Mexico, Central America, and the Dominican Republic. And what Jeff, who by the way is a very nice guy, there's actually a cigar box signed by Jeff hanging on my wall. What Jeff is doing there is super legit. So it's always cool to see products like his, which is the only premium cigar tobacco grown in Florida, in products from a company like Drew Estate.
Plus, 20 Acre Farm being a Drew Estate product means it's the creation of master blender and Pan Con podcast guest Willie Herrera. Support our guests and sponsors. Get it online. Ask your local cigar shop about 20 Acre Farm by Drew Estate. Learn more about Drew Estate and use their store locator to find a cigar shop near you that carries their products at drewestate.com.
That's right. I'm probably going to smoke one of those right now.
What are we waiting for?
So,
Hey, chef.
but I was there for like 8 months, and then they promoted me to like the corporate executive chef, and I did, I will do a lot of like opening like Google accounts or like whatever, like big accounts and concepts for them. I love that job.
It's open. Just gotta. No way. It doesn't lock. You meet it. There it is. It's a little bit of grease. There it is.
So everything was like sustainable, like locally sourced, not more than 50 miles from, and we were cooking for like 2,000 students a day, like everything made from scratch. So after I think 5 years there,
5 years.
I was there 5 years in Bon Appetit, and in Indiana I had an organization as well. It was called Amigos. It was more to help immigrants and a lot of what happens, and here we have more Latinos, but places like Indiana, it's like minority, and the ones that are there, they're not, they're not very well informed about what their rights are, what is
they're not empowered.
They're not empowered. So right. A lot of the things that happen is that, let's say you're undocumented, and the police stops you because you skipped a light or something, you immediately think that it's okay for them to take you to jail, and you give up all your, like, you do still have rights, you know. And a lot of the people, like, the lack of information is what will allow the law to take advantage of them.
Right.
So a lot of what we did with this organization was to, like, help people be informed or have that number of, like, this happened to you, this is the resources that you can use, this, you still have rights. And we will work a lot with the consulate, and we're, like, with a lot of, like, organizations to, like, help these people be informed about what their rights were. So because it's horrible to see how much they take an advantage of Latinos, you know, like,
right.
They don't know. So I think that's why also Chef Jose, he's very good friends with the CEO of Bon Appetit. So when Maria hit Puerto Rico, they asked him, like, to send them, like, send me your 3 people that can, I need to, you know, do a kitchen from 0 to thousands of meals in, like, 2 days. So that's when I got the call to go to Puerto Rico. They were like,
how many years ago was that?
5 years.
Oh, wow. It's been 5 years already.
5 years.
Damn.
So September, yeah, it's gonna be 5 years. No, 5 years in end of September. And yeah, I got the call. They were like, there's this chef. I didn't know who José Andrés was. I really didn't. And there's this chef, and he's in Puerto Rico. There's a hurricane. They're helping, and they need to, you know, build this kitchen, build these systems, and that's what you do. So can you go for a week and help them get everything set up, organized, and then you just come back? I was like, perfect, you know. Get a satellite radio, get cash, and, you know, whatever you need, because everything's closed. And I was like, so I got to Puerto Rico. Yeah, like one of those movies, you know, like cancel flights, people sleeping on I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm a adventurous person, but there I was like, why? What did I do this? I was in Puerto Rico after I had to leave. I met Jose. He was screaming. I remember the first day I met him, I was like, no way I'm gonna work with this person. No. Like, no, I'm not. Like, no, I don't care. Get me back to Indiana, to my corporate job where people respect each other. Like, I don't want these. But I mean, suddenly I was like leading the kitchen, and I set up the sandwich line that we still use in World Central Kitchen. I set up the system for the meals. When I was leaving, I told Jose, and I was like, hey, chef, thank you so much. We were in a meeting, and I have to go back. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm here only for a week. He's like, no. He's like, how are you? You're leading this. Like, why are you leaving? He grabs his iPad. He gives me his iPad, and he's like, write an email to your CEO from my email. Tell him amazing things about you, and tell him that you're staying, and then I'll pay you. I'm like, Jose, I don't want to lose my job. He's like, you're not going to lose your job. Do you want to be a part of this? Because we're about to go big, and we're going to feed the island, and this is going to be big. Like, do you want to be a part of this, or do you just want to go to your job? I was like, okay, I want to be a part of this, but I also don't want to lose my job. And so, you know, I end up staying. In that kitchen, we were doing 75,000 meals a day out of one kitchen. Wow. So I was in charge of, like, ordering, inventory, menus, volunteers. Sometimes it was like 500 volunteers in a day. So I was there for like 3 months until we closed. We moved the kitchen to, like, the Dorado, like a smaller scale. And then after that, I went back to Indiana, happy, my Midwestern life, super chill. And then his people started like, hey, no commitment. Can you send us your resume? And I was like, no.
No, I don't want to send you.
No, because, you know, I'm a very loyal person. Like, loyal in a way, like, if I'm committed to something, I'm committed to something, and I don't care. Like, if I was committed to Bon Appetit, and I was just out, and the CEO, like, sent me, like, this big bonus and thank you. Like, I really loved my job. Like, you know, I got to speak with the farmers, and, like, the farmers will come, like, with a load of, like, hey, chef, I have 400 pounds of these peppers. I was like, there you go. We're going to pickle, and we're going to have local items. I loved it. Like, I got to, like, work with the product, or I have my own farm. And they were like, come to Miami, you know, like there's this restaurant, the best restaurant, and it's so good, it's the Bazaar, and I was like, Miami is, no. I don't like Miami. It's pretentious. I don't want Miami. I don't even want to go vacation in Miami. I'm sorry, but that was my mentality. Like, I don't fit there. Like, I don't want Miami. Like, and then this kept going, like, until, like, mid-January, where Jose called me. He's like, are you gonna send the resume? Like, nobody. I was like, okay, chef, I will. So I send the resume, and they fly me to South Beach for, I think this was like end of January. They take me to Bazaar Mar. They take me to Bazaar. Of course, I was like, whoa. First thought, these people, they're wrong. They don't know that I can't do this. I can't. Like, I'm gonna mess up because I think they're wrong about me. I can't do. I'm not capable of doing this. Mm-hmm. I don't want to lie to these people. This is too much for me. I don't have the skill. I can't.
I mean, what did they want you to do?
Be the CDC of Bazaar. Mm. I was like, I can't.
The one on the beach.
The one on the beach. Well, when I talked to David Thomas, and I had not come to these places. David was with me working in Puerto Rico, and he's the corporate chef for the Bazaars. He's like, hey, we have 2 Bazaars. We have, one that's a smaller scale, this. And then he said, but I think that's going to be boring for you. So we have this other one that is bigger, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the in-room dining, events, all the food for the pool, all the food for the...
I would want the other one.
Yeah, but when you're like 27, you're like, oh, I want the bigger one. And for me, it was like, okay, bigger one. I was like, to be honest, like small, like... I was not smart, maybe. So, they flew me, like, I met of course, my first thought was, like, I'm sorry, but I can't. Like, these people are wrong. Like, I'm going to do the testing, but the only thing that I want to do is not to look like an idiot. Mm-hmm. And for them to think, how do you say, que se den cuenta que no soy tan buena, ¿sabes? That I'm not that good. So, I do the tasting. I started cooking because I was supposed to cook on Saturday and present Sunday morning. But we went to dinner to Bazaar Mar on Saturday. We came back from dinner like at 1 a.m. and then my tasting was at 9 a.m. So I was like, no, I'm not going to mess it up. So I went straight to cooking. I started cooking like at 2 a.m. I am from a fisherman town, Veracruz. Seafood, it's my thing. It's a thing that I will do with my father. Like, we'll go fishing or we'll go. So I was like, I'm going to do an octopus, no? I messed up the octopus. I messed it up. Like, on the first hour, I messed up octopus. I cut myself. I was so nervous. In my mind was like, Karla, just don't make a fool out of yourself. Like, don't make a fool out. I redo the whole menu that I was going to do. I changed the whole menu that I told them I was going to do. At the end, it worked out very good. But I was so nervous. Like, nothing worked out, like, at the beginning. And, a week after, I come back to Indiana, blah, blah, blah. They send me an offer. I look at the offer, and I'm like...
So, apparently it went well.
It went very well.
If they get... Okay.
Yeah, it went well.
You jumped the whole tasting. So then you changed the whole menu.
I changed the whole menu. It went well, but I'm just telling you, I was so nervous that I messed everything up at the beginning. I had to change everything. I think it was until like 4:30 a.m. We were on the beach. I went out. I cried for like 5 minutes, and I was like, just don't make a fool of yourself. I called my sister because I always call my sister. She's a psychologist. So when I'm in crisis, I'm like, Marisol, she's like, Karla, come on. So, I had like my 5 minutes of therapy with my sister. And then I came back. I just did like a whole different menu. And it went well. Came back to Indiana that Sunday. And, a week after, they sent me a very good offer. And I look at it and I'm like, okay. I guess 2 years in Miami is not that bad.
Right.
2 years in Miami, 2 years. That's it. So I talked and I call him and I'm like, hey, just give me a couple months. I have to move my whole house. Like, and they're like, Chef Jose is here for food and wine. That's exactly in 20 days. And you have to be here with him. I'm like, so I gave everything away. in Indiana. I packed my car with my books, my kitchen stuff, and half of my clothes because I gave it all away as well. And I drove to Miami, to South Beach. I lived in the hotel for the first 2 weeks because I didn't even have a place to live. And that's how my Miami journey started.
So how was it when you got here? I mean, so you were here for Food and Wine.
I was here for Food and Wine. One of my first days, you know, like, as I repeat, I don't know if naive is a good word. I'm coming from the Midwest, from very corporate America, from very like, if it's 7 p.m., it's 7 p.m. If it's this, it's this. If, you know, it's very structured. It's very
right.
Everything. So I get to Bazaar. You know, we start doing the stuff for the Food and Wine. We're setting up for the event, and everyone. You have all these chefs that have worked with Jose for like 20 years, 15 years. You know, the one that was executive chef at Bazaar, sous chefs that have been with Jose since they opened Bazaar, and there's sous chefs there. And there comes this newbie, me, that has never worked for Jose, and Jose wants to offer her one of the best, positions that he has in the company, and one of his, I think, higher end restaurants, you know, like, so of course everyone was curious, like, who the hell is she, and why is she deserving of this position? Of course, I would have asked the same, you know, if you're working in the company for so long. And so Jose comes. We're setting up for one of the paella events for Food and Wine. I remember, and I was just like trying to, like, I don't know, I was very nervous. Like, I was very nervous and intimidated because I really do respected all of them, like, so much. And I really never believed that I was good as them, you know? So Jose comes, everyone's nervous, everyone's like freaking out that Jose's coming because he's like, everyone's like, you know, and Jose, first thing he does, he like goes to me, he screams at me, he's like, hey, Karla. My thing is, like, when I met Jose, I was not working for Jose. Mm-hmm. He was not my boss, and I didn't meet him in a just chef kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I met him in like, how many sandwiches can we put in this box?
Oh man, I just met one of mine, but that's fine.
Drink fast.
Yeah, no, don't drink that fast. Thank you. You can just leave that one there. No pressure. It's fine.
So I think my way of like relating to him is different. But his first thing that he did was like, he hugs me. He's like, how are you? He asked me about Bon Appetit. He was like, are you good with them? I was like, yeah, I'm perfect with them. They're super happy that I'm here. He was like, I tried to get you here sooner. I had to talk to Fidel, but I'm glad, like, because they're friends, you know, and he wanted to make sure that, you know, that, but they think is the best for you as well. They really appreciate you. They really like you, like, Bon Appetit. And then we're talking, and then he turns, and everyone's looking, and like, what, you know, and he's like, I don't know if this was good, what he did. I mean, I appreciate it, but it was like my first day trying to like get along with the other chefs.
Right,
and,
just like fit in.
Yeah, and he turns and he says, why are you looking at me like that? Why are you looking at her? Are you mad because she's my favorite? Yes, she's my favorite. You guys have a problem with that? And I'm like, fuck.
That's not a good way to fit in.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, and everyone's like, her chef. I mean, it's not good. It's not good.
So how did the rest of the day go?
I mean, it was, we did the event, we did the paellas, I worked, blah, blah, blah. It was the event that I think is after chef after party. We do it was a Friday. Then we did another event Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, like my first official day at Bazaar. The chef was gone. Like the executive chef, last day was Sunday.
Oh,
the
so
F&B,
no overlap.
The F&B manager on vacation for 3 weeks.
Oh man.
I will go to my prep team and be like, hey, I didn't know what my schedule was. So I was there I felt guilty. I had to learn, but I was like, I was there from 6 a.m. and it doesn't matter. The hours doesn't matter. We've all worked long hours. I will go with my prep team and be like, hey, who are you? I'm like, I am the new chef. It's funny. I'm sorry. I'm the new chef. And they're like, oh, where's Tito? I'm like, actually, his last day was like Sunday. Oh, Tito's gone. Oh, hello, chef. I'm like, okay. Like when I got to Bazaar, we had a staff of like almost 100 people.
Wow.
So you have the overnight crew. You like, it's like a 24-hour kitchen. It never stopped. The bakers, like blah, blah, blah. So, of course, you're the new chef. Everyone wants to come talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
About the salary. About everything that the other one supposedly did wrong.
Yeah, it did wrong.
Of course, This
is what they did wrong. You should not do that.
This is what he promised. Are you going to keep up with that promise? And you're like, dude, I don't even know half the menu right now. Can I just learn? And it was hard. You have people that have worked. My sous chefs, amazing, super talented, but they've worked with Jose for 4 years. They know they started from prep cooks, line cooks, CDPs, to sous chefs. They've been there for 4 or 5 years.
Good for them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And amazing people, like super talented. But there comes Karla. She's never worked for Jose. And suddenly he says, it was hard. It was hard for people to, as much as I tried. I mean, of course, eventually they saw that I think that I know a little bit, but at the beginning, of course, nobody likes a new person that comes with benefits, of course. Even though if I didn't ask for, I was.
Well, they're always going to be skeptical.
Of course,
And it's like, I tell people all the time, like, respect is earned and not given.
And Bazaar has never had and I'm sorry to bring that, like a female chef, my methods, maybe I was not used to, in the kitchens, I'm not saying oh, don't scream, but I don't like people to fear me. Mm-hmm. I want people to respect me, but I'm not gonna I hate, because maybe that's what happened to me when I was mostly in Spain. Right. I will fear my boss. I will fear that they humiliate me in front of if I do a little mess up, being humiliated in front of the whole kitchen, or being I don't like. I felt like that in a long time in my career. When I was working, there was this kitchen in Spain. I was treated like trash. Mm. I was a fish girl. All I did all day was clean fish. For 12, 13 hours. Clean fish. You name it. It was well known for fish. It was one of the best restaurants in San Sebastian, but I was a fish girl. You could smell me 1 block away.
Wow.
So I remember I was treated and I didn't want anyone to feel like that. So my way of managing, I guess, is not it's very direct, but I, so I think also the change, it's a lot, as you say, staff, you have to, it was a big change for the staff.
Right.
I did try my best. Of course, there was no schedules when I got there. There was nobody will take breaks. Nobody would understand why they have to take breaks. There was a lot of things in the system kind of thing that needed to be organized.
Right.
So that was kind of the part of my task there, and I mean, it got when I started to do schedules and I started to put breaks in people. I'm you're working 10 hours. I need you to take half an hour to eat. You need to take a break. We're doing service from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Wow. And it's a non-stop service. I need you to eat before service. I'll make sure that we all have family meal. I was very big about that. When we're done with service at 1 a.m. and I know you're hungry, because I've been a cook, and you leave work and you're hungry because you just fed so many people.
And I
will make sure that they have food at 1 a.m. Before I will make food for them. But just putting breaks, it was a big deal. Everyone hated me. She's taking half an hour away from her paycheck. I'm you can stay and have this is not about that. I'm still gonna give you your 40 hours, but I need you to take half an hour break. You have to. I can't, because, and then accidents disminuyeron porque había muchos accidentes. There was so it's a lot. It's a lot of heavy work, but. I mean, eventually, I say I was in Bazaar for 4 years.
Wow, 4 years.
4 years.
So it wasn't just a 2-year stint in Miami.
Fuck, no. No, but trust me, my first year at Bazaar, I will come home and I will cry on the shower. I think it was the whole first year. I will cry on the shower and I'll be like, I don't want to be here. Why did I do this? I don't care about money anymore. I want to go back to Indiana. These people are mean. These people are not good people. Like, I'm like, not in a, like, no, people didn't treat me wrong. Or it's just a change, it's different, The culture in Miami is different, I think. I
mean, it's very different than Indiana. For sure.
Of course, you know? Like, I think
I've never even been to Indiana, and I could tell you that.
Yes, Indiana is very different. I mean, I like it now. That's why I'm still here. And I'm opening a business here, but it was very hard for me to adapt. Very hard. And of course, like, you are, how do I say this? Like, without sounding bad.
Sound bad, it's fine.
Suddenly I got all of this attention. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a person that craves attention. I don't care for it. I appreciate when it's a good attention.
Sure.
But suddenly I had all this attention, and from me it was like, oh, it's so nice. These people are super nice. But then can you?
No, tell me. I like this. Where's this going? I like this. Tell me more. Can you what?
I mean, it's like you get all of this attention, and so many people want to be your friends, and so many people want to be close to you.
People that didn't go fuck about you before.
Yeah, I mean, it's suddenly like, oh, I'm here. Like, I heard you're a new chef. Whatever you need, let's do this. Blah 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 blah. Lots of influencers. Lots of blah 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 blah. We want to come try your food. We want to. And as I said, I'm not like. Maybe not even naive. I was fucking stupid, Like, I was never being exposed like that before, Like, as I said, like, and also for the World Central Kitchen thing, like, some people see me as like a way to Jose. It's not even about me. I think,
for sure,
but I'm never gonna be like, hey, Jose, here's this person. Can you call him, or here's his number? No, like, it's not like. But I couldn't understand it before, and it was like...
What do you mean you couldn't? What did you
not understand it, but I think I was a little bit more naive to the fact that, okay, maybe these people do like me. They didn't fucking like me. They didn't care about me. Right. Like, they wanted to eat free at the restaurant.
That's right.
They wanted, to...
How can they get FaceTime with Jose? When is he going to be here?
When is he... Can you give us la primicia de when is he going to be here? What can you say about Jose? And then you start kind of like, like, I don't like... I'm not going to be an asshole to somebody that's trying to be nice to me. But then you learn with time. It took me, I'm very open. I'm not open. I was, maybe because I learned. I give people the benefit of the doubt, Like, if you're coming with intentions and I think you're good, and I don't think you're going to try to be an asshole to me or trying to do something. Yeah. But you learn the hard way.
I know. And I'm the opposite, right? Like, when I never believe, well, not never. It depends on the person and, like, the situation. If they're coming with, like, good intention, I'm always like negative Nancy. Like, this person doesn't really give a fuck. Like, this, like, especially in our job, because people, they just want to, I don't know, they, like, want to schmooze with, like, the person. And especially for you that you were, like, so tight with Jose, it's like, like, how do we get there, instead of, like, really caring about, like, what it is that we do. And you're like, how has your day been? Yes. How are you doing? It's like, I don't know. It's such a fake culture in that regard. Like, there's so much bullshit that you have to work through. And for me, I have, like, I guess it's already, like, public enough how much I don't like that shit. So people don't fuck with me. But you're from
Miami, and
100%. So yeah, they
Miami's
know it.
Home to you. Me,
right.
In a way, I was trying to fit into Miami. Not fit in because I don't care about fitting into certain right. But more like nobody knew me, and I didn't want the Karla that they were gonna meet to be like, oh, she's an asshole, she doesn't care. So I had to give people, like.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way. Like, I got burned by a lot of people that I thought that, they actually cared for me, or they're actually, and it was always like a second intention or something. But I think it's part of my process, no? It's part of me learning and growing and whatever.
Yeah.
I left Bazaar as well, and I left because I had a fight with SLS for defending Jose's, like what Jose wanted.
Right.
You know, and for me, like I remember, you know, a year before this happened on a Food and Wine, this is what happened. I go to Spain. I do, when we closed for the pandemic, I go to Spain and I do the chef for Spain. I'm in Spain for like 4 months. I'm in Spain even before Jose came to Spain. So a lot of the people relate World Central Kitchen in Spain to me, because I was the one like teaching this chef. Not even teaching, I mean, you're working with the best chefs in the world, but they cook for 60 people a day and you're asking them to cook for 5,000.
Or less than 60, but yeah.
You know, so it's different, you know, like you just have to change a switch, you know, in order to make it happen. And so when I was going to come back from Spain, you know, I got an email from the SLS, like, we need you back like this day because we're going to open. And it was not like a good time to open because we were not ready with the protocols. It was just when the pandemic was. So I told Chef, you know, I say, Jose, I have to be back this day. You know, they need me. And Chef, you know, tells me, no, like, we're gonna go to Spain. There was this documentary that was gonna be made in Spain, and I had to be on it. I mean, I was gonna be on it. And he's like, I'm gonna talk to the people at the SLS. You know, they have this chef, the corporate chef David is there. We have the 3 sous chefs. If they're gonna open only with a capacity of 20 people, I think they got it. You know, it's good. You know, we need your help here. You know, Chef David Thomas is the one that opened Bazaar. You know, he's matching Bazaar. He's good. Like, he's my boss. He was my boss at the time. And so I guess, you know, when I send that email, you know, Chef needs me, I got another email saying, okay, if you're not here this date, we're going to take it as like voluntary resignation.
Oh, yeah?
So I send this mail to Jose. And he sends, and I'm not going to say names, he sends an email back that he shouldn't have copied me on it. He copies me, the person that was my boss, the boss of his boss, and the owner, saying, you think you're going to fire Karla? And how is that going to backlash on you, like, with all the work that she's doing? She's going to stay in Spain. And she's going to come back. If you really need her, okay. But do you really need her?
Right, for 20 covers a day. If you do 20 covers a day.
If you do 20 covers a day. Like, I want to make sure, you know, like you understand, like, the big work that she's doing. I mean, you know, kind of like, it comes to us like, I don't come back from Spain. And I don't lose my job, of course. Mm-hmm. But of course, when I came back, things were rough. Because, you know, he could send these emails, but then he was not there. I was the one there. And, you know, there was like a lot of like, Jose wants these. The company wants these. Jose wants. And I will always, what Jose wanted, if he tells me you're going to serve this, I'll be like, I'm going to serve these. I don't care.
Well, I mean, he's the one that hired you.
Yeah, but I was working for the hotel.
I mean, that's the interesting like perspective, working for a chef and working for a hotel.
Somebody told me one day, it's like, you're the child of divorced parents that don't get along, and you're like in the middle. Right. And you want to make them both happy. You know, but of course, my side, it was not even a doubt that my loyalty and not loyalty was to Bazaar, because all I wanted is Bazaar and my staff to be good and everything, but I will never compromise Jose's, like, what he wanted. You know, what he wanted. He wanted to serve olive oil pancakes with the best olive oil, because that's the way we do it, or the waffles, and do the best foie or use the best caviar. We're gonna use it. Jose will call me and be like, are we losing money? I'm like, no, Jose. He's like, I don't care to make a lot of money. Just make sure that the people are happy. Make sure that you're serving good food. Please. Got you, chef. Make sure that you don't change. And he will see it. He's such a fucking genius. Like, he will tell me something and then he'll come back 6 months after. He's like, Karla, I told you this. I was like, oh, you're right. Like, he will remember. Like, for how many things he has on his mind, he remembers. So, you know, I left SLS, and first person I call is him. I was like, Jose, I just quit. So, you know, like, I as a year before, I had another incident in the SLS where I was sick and I needed to go home to get like exámenes porque I was like feeling very bad. And I was gonna take like, I think it was like a Sunday. I was gonna take Monday, Tuesday off. I planned that like 3 weeks in advance, Monday, Tuesday off. I finished Sunday service. I was gonna take like I left work like at 2 a.m. I was gonna take a 6 a.m. flight to Mexico, then take a 1 a.m. flight on Wednesday to be here Wednesday, to go to the doctor Monday, Tuesday. So when I was heading to the airport, one of the people that I was working for calls me and he's like, I think it's not a good idea that you take your trip. And I'm like, I requested this 2 months ago.
Right.
And I have doctor's appointment. And we just got a big reservation for Monday, and it's not going to look good on you. This is
after how many years being there?
3 years.
That's good.
It's not going to be good on you. It's not going to look good on you. I was like, but I'm sick. I need to go to the doctor. And I need to go to this doctor in Mexico because he's my doctor. And he's like, well, your choice. You have the days off, but I'm just saying it's not gonna look good on you. Of course, I canceled my trip. Instead of going to the airport, I went home, changed, and I went to work. That day, I texted Jose. I was like, when you have a minute, I need to talk to you. Like, just that. I was like, okay, maybe he'll call me later. You know, have you ever been so mad? Well, for me, I get so mad that I like cry. So he calls me, and I just burst. I like cry. He's like, Karla, please don't cry. I know it's hard. Please don't cry. But, well, yes, cry. But call me when you cry. Don't cry. Like, just tell him to like. I was like, Jose, I can't tell them that. You can. You're Jose Andrés. Right. I can't tell him this. A week after things like after this happens, like I'm gonna be there next week. It's gonna be food and wine, another food and wine, and that Sunday I got like super sick and I got to the hospital. So I had to be hospitalized and I had to have surgery and I couldn't be on the food and wine.
Right.
He felt so bad. Like I remember like he came to my house, he called, his assistant called me. He's like, Jose says like, what do you want to eat? Whatever, just make a list. He wants to bring you all the food. But you know, like I say I'm very grateful. Like I Bazaar my staff. I had amazing staff, like my prep team, like until the day, you know, like I talked to my staff, but it was a big learning stage of my life.
Right.
You know, when I left, I was very relieved, sad, but it was also hard, you know, from being, I'm in Miami, everyone now knows me from the chef of the Bazaar, then now I'm like, just Karla. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. How long ago did you leave now?
A year.
Oh, it's only been a year.
Only been a year. I left on June, well, a year and a half, June 18 last year. And also that was another transition, you know, because it's like, of course, now what the hell? And at that point, I went through, like, I was like June, and like that year, like I went through something personal, like whatever. Like I was going to get married, and then I didn't get married, and then it was like, then I left Bazaar, and then it was like, boom.
A lot of life.
A lot of life. So, so yeah, I was at a point where like, should I leave Miami? Should I stay? And I had already started the process for the taco place, you know? And I was like, I just want to disappear for a little bit because I don't.
It's a good place to be.
You know, I just want to like, I couldn't bring myself to tell people that I was not at Bazaar anymore. Because I thought, I mean, you also get to like, I thought, because I've given everything, I've made everything that I was to be that.
I'm going to take this from you. So
yeah, please. Please do. But luckily, I think in this last year, like, it's good because I also learned who out of these people that we're talking about were actually
your friends.
My friends.
Yeah. It's such an interesting learning time, right?
You know, like it's crazy. And I remember I was in Bazaar, and it's when I got first invited to do these, like, for example, at the Hard Rock Stadium with Dajani. And she talked about like bringing Bazaar experience for me, blah, blah, blah. And she called me to like be like, okay, when are we doing this testing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like almost crying. I was like, Dayani, I'm sorry to tell you, because I have to be honest, like, I'm not at Bazaar anymore. So, you know, maybe you don't want to work with me anymore because I'm not there anymore. And it's okay. You know, I can give you the number of the people of the Bazaar. Like, they're, and I remember, like, she turns to me and she's like, Karla, I want you.
Yeah.
I want to work with you. I
love that.
I was like, but she's like, I don't care. I want you and what you do. And I was like, okay. Like,
well, I think it's interesting because it leads back to like when we met last week at Chugs when we were talking about the menu for the collaboration dinner, and we're like, you know, and you asked me like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to do whatever you want to do. I don't give a fuck about what I want to do. Like, we cook Gibson food every day.
Yeah.
I mean, you are our guest because I want to do whatever it is that you want to do. Let's do that. I'm cool with that. And then our dishes will just try to play off of like whatever it is that you're doing, you know? And I think it's such an interesting time period. Like I was telling you too last week, when I went from working from Norman to Michael and Roel and then opening Ariette, it took me like a full year to understand who I was. And like you know, like I was already, I wasn't forced to, I had already put myself in the position to like cook food, but I was a little fucking lost, you know, because I had never cooked my own food. I had never cooked like my expression, like who am I? Not whatever, like, and that's not to talk down about like what they were doing, because I wanted to work there to learn from these people, but not like what Michael Schwartz's vision of food was, or Norman Van Aken's vision of food, or Roel's vision of food, or whoever it was that I was working for. It was my vision, and it's such a heavy burden. And you often, at the time, you think like, I'm not good enough for this because you hadn't done it yet.
Yeah.
So it's like a very interesting perspective. You almost have this like very interesting like imposter syndrome, like, I'm not good enough to do this. Yeah. I've never done it yet. Like, why should I be doing this now? And then when you honestly, for me, it was a little bit different, because like we were doing so poorly as a restaurant that I was like, we're gonna fucking close, so I might as well just fucking do whatever I want anyways. So it was like, I'm not totally sure if this is gonna work or not, or if people are gonna get it, but fuck it, who cares? So it was like back against the wall. If we close, we close. I don't know, it may happen. But it was the polar opposite. You know, like, I don't know if it's that's what people wanted, but that's what attracted people to us.
Yeah.
So I totally understand the perspective of like, you know, I forever, and this only changed within the last like year, which was, you know, I was the guy who worked for Michael and Norman. Now I am just me.
But you have to, when you're doing that change, it takes a while.
It takes time. It takes so much time. And, you know, for sure, like, it's beneficial that in every byline that's been written for the last 7 years about this restaurant, like, their names are mentioned, and I'm honored by that because they're great people. But at the same time, like, this is who we are, and they helped me get here. But now, like, this is a totally different ballgame, you know, and it just takes time for that to develop. But when people start wanting or asking about like, who is Karla or who is Mike, it's a very weird experience, right? How old are you right now?
I told you.
I know, but tell me again while people are listening. Tell me again while people are listening.
34.
34. It's not old, dude. You're making it sound like we're fucking
youngest
the youngest person in the room right now. Fuck. I mean, we're still very young, right? So it's like, you know, we have still so much growing to do and so much learning to do, and like just exploration and journey. It's still super early.
Yeah.
But you're great at what you do. I think we're pretty good at what we do. And I think it's just like, people want that. They want connection, and like, and that's why I'm so fascinated about like, you know, the concept that you have that you want to put here. Like, I love it. Like, when you explained it to me, I'm like, fuck, I want to eat this shit tomorrow, right? Because it's so interesting the way you want to approach your food that I fucking love.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like that right now at all whatsoever. And, you know, like, but that's more of as you grow to the person, or to the chef, really, not really the person, they grow side by side, but the chef that you want to be and the expression that you want to have, it's always like we're always scared to do our own expression, right? Because it's when we're most vulnerable.
Yeah.
When you cook Jose's food for a long time, that's Jose's food.
Yeah, and I have, I can do whatever but it's Jose's food.
Right.
Somebody criticizes it. If somebody doesn't like it, oh, I'm sorry, but that's Jose's food. Like, kind of like,
Previously, when I worked for Norman and Michael, I was like, that was their food.
Yeah.
Even if I was able to put a menu item on there, or like, they loved a dish that I came up with and it landed on a tasting or it landed on the menu, doesn't matter. It's still their food. And like now it's your food. Now it's my food.
Yeah.
And there's a different, and people always like hate the way that I approach this. I'm just like, fuck it, man. I'm going to do what I do. If people like it, that's great. If people don't like it, it's still what I want to do.
But I think that's the beautiful part about creating. You're not creating to please. You're creating, of course, you want people to like it, but it's not your intention. You want to express.
Listen, sometimes shit's just bad, right?
But
what I'm saying is that I don't really think that we put out like anything that's like bad.
Yeah, but when you're creating a dish, you're trying to express something. You wanna, well, at least when I express something, there's a reason why you're creating this dish. You're not. Are people gonna like it with more sauce? Maybe this is not why. You're creating. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to express.
There's a story behind it. There's a reason behind it. Like we have an amazing communications team. And, I was telling them last week, I was like, we should, post or talk about the foie more often. They're like, well, why is that? And I said, well, I think it's like one of our dishes that we've had the longest. It's like one of our backbone dishes. So because I'm a micromanager at my core, they have to send me every photo they're going to post and the actual caption underneath it. Right? I
mean, I'm not gonna defer because
I think
I relate to that. I relate to that.
Why are you laughing?
I'm imagining what that workflow actually looks like. I'll jump with a not related to social media story that I think helps to illustrate.
That's good. So
this is relevant. When how long ago was it that you first got hired Tatiana?
Has
it been like a year now almost?
It's been a year.
It's been roughly a year. So Tatiana is the executive assistant for you and a few others in the company?
Yes.
And I used to have a really hard time sometimes getting Mike to respond to text messages and emails. But it wasn't that he would ignore them. It was like that I would send like, hey, are you available Wednesday at 9? And he'd send me like a picture of his car. And then when he got an assistant, when Tatiana came on, who's been a miracle, I think, at least as an outsider, I remember very, very vividly, Tatiana and I were in a back and forth email about Mike's schedule. And then I get a text from Mike that's a screenshot of the email that I assume texting me, isn't it crazy I have an assistant now?
It's a weird world. It's a weird world to be in.
I just hired one like a couple months ago.
Good for you. It's a great place to be. Listen, I mean, Tatiana has access to my entire life. She like keeps me going.
That's good.
Bless her.
That's good.
Back to the social media thing. So they sent me a photo and they sent me a caption, which was both very nice.
Okay.
I said, this is cool, but let me explain to you a little bit more about why this dish exists. This dish started because of a tree in my grandparents' backyard, and I would eat sour oranges and it would marinate pork. And I was like, I think that this is an incredible product, but why can't we do more with it? The whole purpose of that dish was started with my grandparents' tree that they still have in their backyard. It was like, how can we look at sour oranges through a different lens? Not just treat it the same way that we've treated this product that we've used for hundreds of years, in the same way that we've done it. Why can't we treat it differently? And why can't we serve one of the poorest products in the world, which is plantains, with one of the richest products in the world? Why can't we mend these two cultures together and just look at it through a different lens? And they were like, fuck. It's a story, and it's my story.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as like when you do your food, it's your story, you know? And that's like, it's empowering, and I love it. Like, people who come to me and they're like, I don't totally love the foie dish. I'm like, well, that sucks for you. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you don't totally get it, right? Like, I'm not going to take it to heart. I fucking love it. to my core. That's my favorite dish in the whole company because of the story, the purpose, and it's fucking delicious. Like, I don't care what anyone says, but like things like that, you start to be able to not only impact or touch other people's lives, you get to express yourself, and when that comes out, like, it's a totally different ball game, and it feels very good.
I think I'm kind of like trying to get there because it's weird, you know, like as I told you, you know, growing up, I have like two different sides of my family, you know, which I love them, like we all get along, like, but it was very hard at the beginning. We were the grandchildren of the brown lady, you know, my mom, you know, that come from a farm, that, you know, she didn't go to college. She was not, you know, and then my dad, of course, you know, my family, my dad's side, which it's not the one that I talk a lot about.
Same.
You know, and I love them, you know, and I love them. Now I have a great relationship with them, but they wouldn't accept us, you know. All my cousins will eat inside. My brother, my sister, and me will eat outside. You know, like I was terrified to go to my grandparents' house. Like I was, like my mom, God bless her, you know, like I don't know how she put up with like until the day, you know, like, so of course when you're 13, 14 and you think to be more on this other side of the family makes you cool because you got the best school and you think you're the cool, you're a brat, you kind of like grow being ashamed. And yeah, I have to admit, there was a part of my life where I was like a prick and I was a brat and I thought I was the coolest girl in the world. I was ashamed of that part of my family, of my grandmother, of the ranch, of the farm, of like the so right now is like, now that I say older, 34.
Still the youngest person in the room.
I'm like, you know what? Like, this is a grandmother that no matter what, I will go to her house, and we didn't have money because we were not accepted by the other family, and we will eat beans, you know, and I will turn them like, hey, grandma, like, why are we eating beans all the time? And we will eat the queso out of a cubeta because we will milk the cows with my grandmother. She'll make the cheese on a cubeta, like on a bucket, and she's be like, you know, I don't care, you know, like, we're gonna eat beans, but this is gonna be the best fucking beans you've ever had. You're never gonna find better beans than the ones in your grandmother's house, or the salsa, or the tortilla. And that's a lot of my love for food also came from there, you know. And right now, this is like if you see my place has a big picture of my grandmother in su mandil, in su hamaca, in su fogón, because it's like an homage to her. Like this is who I am, you know, and this is what I grew up. I as a chef, you know, work in Michelin star restaurants, you do fancy food, but at the end of the day, you know, that food that I want people to feel like that, you know, like when I'm not gonna be ashamed of that, you know. I wanna, you know, honor it, you know, and that's the food that I want people to feel like I felt when I would eat my grandmother's food. Very simple, not pretentious. So I know I was a chef at Bazaar, and I've done, but this food is not even, there's a purpose behind it, you know, like the corn that we're gonna use, he's like from Oaxaca and from Veracruz, and I know the farmers because I just went to Oaxaca. And but yeah, but I'm also scared, you know, because what if people expect something else? What if people
will expect something else? They will. I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it's like, people will. It's your job, and however you frame this and how you tell the people who you are and what it is that you're doing, that's the only reason that they're going to get it, right? Like, you have to be, and this is what I mean, like, the biggest difference between the day that we opened to year one, what changed was I was very open about who we now became, because it was who I really was. I was tired of being scared of who I really was, and I said, fuck it, I'm just going to do this. The only reason I was able to, and I used to say it like the whole first fucking year, I just worked the grill and I didn't do anything else, right? Prepped in the commissary, prepped all day, ran the restaurant, worked the grill all night. I never liked to expedite. My sous chef at the time would expedite. I just worked the line. I never touched tables. I never fucking talked to anyone. I never did any influencer things. I didn't want to do that. What really changed was me saying, if we're going to go down, I'm at least going to put myself out there a bit. I'm going to put myself out there a bit. I'm going to talk about who we really are, because I was tired of being scared of who I really was. It's up to you to do that. Like you, because people will, I mean, you were the chef of the Bazaar for 4 years. It's a long time. People probably still try to come at you like, when is Jose going to be in town? Like, you know.
Yeah, and now I still, like, I was just with him, like, you know, I mean,
Stop
that's
telling
the thing.
people that, because they're going to keep on asking
No,
you when he's
but
gonna be
I
here.
know, but you know, like, I do work Central Kitchen. I don't do Bazaar, but I'm also still involved, and I will be involved with work Central Kitchen. But I'm not aligned to host, like, at all, you know,
Right.
like, and you know, that's I mean, that process, no, of like, okay, you know, I need to make these choices where, like, I have to focus on, like, for a long time, I kind of like I've been like, oh no, I'm gonna push it a little bit. I'm gonna push it more. And maybe while I do this, and I push it because, of course, you know, I think deep inside I'm quite a little scared. You know, you're scared of, like, it's not the same. You're opening your own thing.
It's okay to be scared, though. It's fine, though. Being scared is good. Listen, we're about to open our 6th restaurant. I am scared every time we do it. Every single time. Fear is good. It's a master motivator. It will motivate you to be better. If you're not scared, then you're fucked, because you're like, I got this shit. I'm good. You're not going to work as hard as you should. Like, I know, and I don't feel like that either, right?
I don't feel like that at all.
And but the truth of it is that you need to be the face, and you need to be super forefront. Look, I mean, Jose Andrés is a good example, right? Like, he is an incredible speaker.
Yeah.
He's done great things. He's very upfront about his thoughts and who he is. That's a great example. I mean, there's no denying who that man is, right? Yeah. You have to think about that and take it as a sample size and then apply it to yourself. You know, like Bourdain. Bourdain was never scared to be like who he was, and to voice his opinion. And it's the same thing as, like, when we get into it to do a restaurant that for you has so much meaning, you need to tell people that, and to not be scared about it. Because, like, people, this is the other thing I tell people opening restaurants now, is like, do not be scared of criticism, because it will happen. You could be 100 every single day. Every single day, you can think every plate of food is fucking perfect. You can, and people will criticize, and it's okay. Because you know what? In my mind, the way I say it is like, that's their own fucking opinion. Fuck them. I don't care. This is what I want to do. And there will be people that follow. Like, I'm gonna go there. Other people like me are gonna go there, because I want to know more about you, and I want to know more about that food, because I've never really experienced that, and I want to. So it's like, there's going to be tons of people like me, you know, because it's like, you don't have to be everything to everybody. You're not going to serve a taco in a golden shell to serve it for $1,000, right? Which is great. And you're cooking for people like me, which is people who really give a fuck about food, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. But all I'm telling you now, which nobody told me at the beginning, was from day one, be very upfront about who it is that you are and what it is that you're planning on doing. I mean, you have a better idea now than I did when we first opened, and you have some time to for that to continue to develop. So it's like, just be that. Like, don't be scared. It's okay to be scared.
No, I get it. And that you're not, like, you're completely right, you know, because I think part of it, like, I went from, like, feeling like it, as I've been only in Miami for 4 years. You know, I went from feeling a little bit like the outsider, like, in Miami, like, and then, of course, I'm good. I'm the chef of the Bazaar. Then I leave Bazaar, and then I'm Karla, you know, the World Central Kitchen chef. And then, like, no, I think, yeah, you're right. I think I am very sure of, like, now, I think every day, like, more, you know, every day more. And, like, when I take time to actually, like, go home and because I left home when my first year out was at 14. I lived with the Mormons for a year. And then I left at, 17? Or 16. So a lot of my culinary, like, background is not at home. like my thing that I know, it's because I was raised with my grandmother, and this is the things that are like, I'm telling, like ingredients, recipes, like all of that, that's like from my grandmother's, more on the mother side. And when I go back and I spend like a week at the farm with my grandmother, and I just like turn off my cell phone and I just like spend a week with her. That's what I'm gonna do actually next week. But yeah, you know, just like I think, but also there's fear. You're right, fear of not being accepted for who you really are. Yeah. You know, because you're like, this is me, I'm vulnerable, this is like, you know.
I mean, and it's interesting because in the world that we live in today, like everything is about acceptance. Everything is about like double click like. It's hard to shed, right? Even at our age, because, you know, the younger generation is going to have to deal with it more than our generation is. But like, there's so much power in it. And like, once you could stand on your own 2 feet and be like, this is who I am, fuck it. If you don't like it, I don't care. I do not care. If you do not like it, that's totally on you. There's plenty of other restaurants to go to. There's a lot of power in that. And I felt like once I accepted that, our food got better. We got better as a restaurant. We stood strong in like who we were. And I'll tell you right now, it's like, just be very vocal about who you are and what you want that restaurant to mean. You know, like there's meaning behind restaurants, certain ones.
Yeah.
You know, like certain restaurants like have made a difference. There's been restaurants in the city in the last 5 to 10 years that have made a huge difference, and it's going to impact our food culture for a very long time. Where it's a very interesting place that we're at.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like food history here is not super deep. Like we're still a very young city. So what you do now can impact food for a long time.
That's how I see it. I see it, you know, when people ask me about the Miami food scene, and, you know, and I think there's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why one of the reasons that I decided to, like, my reason being here was working, having this job, and then reason why, like, I want to stay here and I want to be a part of that growth of the food here in Miami, scene in Miami, you know, because I think there's so much opportunity to, like, do different things and to, like, grow as a whole community. You know, there's so many upcoming, like, good chefs, good people, amazing concepts, and I think, you know, it's gonna get very good. I think
we're at, it's an interesting, like, it's a twofold parallel, right? It's like you have all these big major, no pun intended,
I got
major
it I got it I got it I got it
major
I got it.
Just stopped my entire, because I didn't even mean to do that. It just happened.
I got it. Understood.
People with a lot of money behind them, right? Doing like all these, like, several concepts of the same thing, and they're turning themselves into Ruby Tuesdays or the Applebee's of the world. And then they're just trying to, like, tread like big numbers, execute like 1,000 covers a day. And then there's this other faction of people doing like really incredible work, people who care about what they do, people who care about the city, people who care about the growth of like the food culture here. One side I think is important in its own way, even though I don't like them. And then there's our side that does what we do, which is small, mom and pop, if you will, like food culture that just like continues to prop the city up.
Yeah.
And the opportunity is there. You know, like there, it's just, I don't know, when I look at like the whole food landscape as it is, like I think your food is the one that's least represented, to be very honest.
Yeah. That's why I say there's a lot of opportunity.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunity.
And then when you look at some of the other things that have done like super well, those were things that were not represented super hard before either. You know, like what Zitsum does, what Itame does, I think what they do at B-Side also, what Boyade does, what Luca does, what, you know, like there's people doing really good fucking stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so special, and like I want to keep it like in its own like special box so people don't fuck with it too much.
Yeah.
Like all the
So you don't
influencers
change-
of
yeah.
the world, and like there's
Yes.
no gold leaf and fucking
Definitely. Yeah. It's just
So-
good food.
opportunity is definitely there. I think it's just like you just have to really, and that's why I keep emphasizing like be who you are and don't be scared to be it, because like there are positive things at the end of that rainbow.
And I don't know if it happened to you when you opened your first place. Like, of course, I'm super nervous, but also I'm like excited. Like, I want people to try the food and be like, I'm not saying that I'm trying to teach them or educate them, but I want them to change the perception of like what Mexican food is.
For
You know,
sure.
of what it is to eat a taco with the right salsa. Because, you know, there's a reason why. You know, there's a reason why the beans are this way or why the tortilla. Like, I want them to try it and be like, fuck. Like, I eat this on a Tuesday and I'm craving it on Saturday.
Right.
Because it's so good. Because it gives me that feeling. And that's my motivation. And of course, it's going to be a business. I want to make money, but it's not my motivation. You know,
Yeah, but
like,
I also think that like that not being the motivation is what's going to make you money at the end. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, of course. But, you know, like, I was talking to a friend. He, in Mexico, like one of the people that have the restaurants, and, you know, he was telling me, he was like, you have to, a different mindset, of course. You know, he was like, you make a business to make money.
Sure.
Okay? Why do you want money? Money gives you freedom. If you have money but you don't have freedom, then why you have money? So he will tell me, he told me, you know, like, you're opening this place, you want to open a restaurant. Don't become the slave of your own passion.
I hate to laugh, but yeah,
I
get
know.
it.
He told me that. So he's like, you want to create something, you want to send a message, send it. But if you have so many restaurants, but then yet you don't have freedom, then why the fuck are you having so many restaurants?
You have
No. But that's why I say I'm like, that's not how I think. Like, you know, like, but
I mean, I think the opposite way, right? Like, I think, you know, you open a business, like, yeah, it needs to make money, but like my goal in the first like 36 months of this place was just to keep the lights on.
I think that's how my goal was.
Yeah, like how do we keep the lights on? And then at the same time, it's like, yeah, don't be a slave to your own passion. But people want to be a part of that passion.
Yeah.
They want to learn about that passion. You know, like that's big restaurateur talk.
No, that's why I say it's not. That's why I say like
Right.
looking at the other side, which I don't agree with, and I bet it has happened to you. Like you get people that come to you and you're like, how much money you want? Let's open this big thing, and you're like, this is not what I'm about. Like, thank you.
I'm super good.
Appreciate it, but
you.
I'm gonna do my 200 square feet taco shop to start with, so I can do whatever I want and express what I want. And if I have to pick up an extra private chef jobs to pay my people, I'll do it on the first year. But
I think I've said this story before. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But like in the first, maybe it was the second year, we were like broke, and I hadn't paid myself in like a solid amount of time. And I would go to this bar that was right outside of Wynwood, and I had a Frita pop up, and I would slang Fritas all night. And I would make like $100 maybe a night. And that's like what kept my lights on. You know, like, but that helped us get here. You know, and it's like when I talk to other, not all restaurateurs, when I talk to some of them, it becomes so like functionally, it's just like a function. It's an operation. It's a structure. Like every restaurant has a soul. Every good restaurant has a soul.
yeah, of course.
Without the soul, it does not exist. It's not good. It's going to be an Applebee's.
Yeah.
And I love Applebee's. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I started my
it
career there.
depends on like,
Yeah.
I mean, we all.
But what I'm saying is like, you know, especially like on the journey that you're on right now, it's like, it's all about purpose. It's all about like telling your story, and people will want that. I can't emphasize that enough. People will want that. They want to know the story. They want to understand who you are. Because, you know, Jose is great. Jose's time as the chef of the world, because that's kind of like who he is, will end eventually. And then it's going to be like, who are the next group of people to take that? Like Norman, which I love very dearly, like someone eventually had to take the reins from him. I'm not saying it's me, but there's a bunch of other chefs that have like taken on Miami as like, this is our home. And Norman started that. So it's like, it's an evolution, and the freedom for you is in the expression. The freedom for me has been in the expression. Like when people are like, well, this isn't Cuban food. I'm like, it's not your Cuban food, but it's mine. It's not what
I want to do for Cuban. Yeah.
It's not you, what you think Cuban food should be, but it is what I think Cuban food could have been.
Representation of it. Yeah.
And then it's like, so what do you mean by could have been? And then that opens a whole different gauntlet of questions and conversation that they never would have had before, which is the entire goal of this place in general.
Did you think you were going to have 6 restaurants when you started?
No.
Like it was just...
No. I didn't, like, and just like equally speaking about like evolution and, like we're done evolving. Like we're good. I'm super like, and I thought about it today. I was walking through like a new space, Laurel, that opens on the 28th of this month. And I was like, like this is a beautiful feeling. I don't ever want to get to the place that I'm like, it's just another number.
Yeah.
Because restaurants have purpose for me. I just hope that I set myself up differently than other people set themselves up, which is like, I could be happy with 6 or 7 locations and just live my life. Like I don't need another one, a 30th, a 35th, a 40th. I don't need that stuff. Like
as long as those 6 are taken care of, the staff feels good, they want to be a part of, they want
right. All the things are important, which is like the food is great, the staff is great, the people care, people feel like they're taken care of, people feel like the company cares about them. Even in general though, like openly speaking, yeah, opening up a restaurant was great, but it was also like opening up a company was to create a space for people like me that really wanted to just cook great food, get paid well for it, feel like they were valued, feel like they're heard. It's been an interesting journey and a lot of like searching for like what is the overall purpose here, because when we opened up here I knew what the purpose was. When we opened up all of it, it was like, so the purpose is to create a space for people like me, people who just give a fuck about food, people who give a fuck about the experience, not just like cooking of the food, but it's the serving of the food, it's the serving of the wine, it's the cocktail program, it's all that stuff.
It's the whole experience.
So no, I didn't think that we would have 6 locations. I still have a hard time fathoming it. But I just hope that like when people look back and that they have worked here, not all of them will feel that way, but that we were a different experience than what they've either previously had or had post this.
But it's normal, I guess. The Michael that they have worked with when you open to year 2 to now, it's gonna be a different Michael as well. So they're gonna get a different experience. So you can't expect everyone to go out with the same feeling of, because I think you also have evolved as a manager, as a business owner, as a chef,
oh man, I used to be a tyrant. I won't even lie, I was a tyrant, super hard. I'm not anymore, but I used to be. So yeah, like the people who got me year 1 to the people who get me year 6, 7, it's a very different world,
That's the beauty of it, no? It's good. You've evolved, you've grown, that's what we do.
I feel like even more so, I say this like in my 30s, I've evolved a ton in my 30s, because my 20s were just like face into a cutting board, doing like whatever it took to just like get through service, make service better, make food great. That was pretty much it. Like my 30s have been a lot of like figuring things out. Who knows what my 40s will be like? We're not far from there, so we'll see.
Not far from my 40s either. So.
No, yes, you are. You're still like in your early 30s.
You never know.
So what's the timeline?
Tacotomía?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. For my 40s or for Tacotomía?
Was that your way of not trying to pronounce Tacotomía?
Yes, it was. I don't want to mess it up. I mean, I feel like every time I say it in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna fuck this up.
No. The week after Art Basel. It's okay, this is the thing. It's I'm opening on the Julian Henry's Food Hall, so it's not like completely up to me. My space is finished, my stuff is done, but you know, there's a lot of construction permits. They just extended like the TCO like 1 more week, so we're having it I think on the 18th of November, and then 15 days after is when we can open.
And we're doing a pop-up on the 16th of November.
No, but the TCO I don't have to be like, I don't go into the space until 20 days after they pass the inspection. That's, you know, so even if it's on the 18th, I wouldn't be able to go in the space until the 6th or 8th of December.
Okay. So we're going to see it in 2023.
I think so.
Yeah.
To be honest, I hope so, because I don't want to rush it and open a restaurant in like the highest of the season, training my staff, putting that new staff through that. Like, I don't, as much as I would love to, because, you know, it's when you make money, but I would want to give the staff opportunity, or kind of like the staff that I, you know, like, I think
right.
It will be a better thing.
I think just going back to like how we started this whole thing, which is like our collaboration at the Gibson.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was talking to Danny about like kind of an idea of who we would like to collaborate with, you were one of the first people that I thought of. Oh. Because it's like a totally different type of food that we don't do, but obviously that I love, and that I would love to see like your expression in that room and like how it happens. And you know, and like what I was saying before, it's incredibly important for like that staff specifically, because it's such a young staff and so talented, so hardworking, to be able to work with people that I think would benefit them. And also equally, like for me, to learn things that I never have seen before. And the room is so cool. It's like so, I mean, it's got such great soul to it. So I think it's like, you know, I think our goal is 50 covers, anywhere between 47 and 50, depending how the seatings are. I don't know. I think it's going to be really dope.
I'm super excited. I have not been, but I've heard great things. Everyone that has been, they're like, it's amazing space. They love it. The drinks are great as well. I know. I heard.
I love that. I love that. The drinks are great.
But yeah, I'm super excited. Super, super excited.
And I think, you know, this is going to come out after, right?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. You know, the menu is what, 5 courses?
Yeah.
5 courses.
And the snacks, right?
Yeah, 5 courses and the snacks platter. It's like just one board of snacks. I don't know. Like the first time we did it, I was incredibly nervous because we hadn't done anything like that in that space before, because that space has just been known as a bar for so long. So the fact that it is a restaurant now. Okay. Also, it was like, I don't know if we're going to like sell out. I mean, we sold out. The first one was with Aaron Brooks, which, I mean, we know is a legend.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And, I mean, people fucking loved it. They had such a good time. And I think what was impressive, and I think it goes to show like how the first one went, is like we just posted the Eventbrite like 5 days ago, and we're almost sold out already, which is great. You know, like that just shows that it's like, you know, people really enjoyed
and they want to.
They enjoyed the first time. They saw great things about the first time. They want to go to the second time. Obviously, the food is going to be great. I'm pumped for it.
Me too. I'm super excited, and I'm gonna be in Mexico like right before.
Right.
So I'm planning to bring us like some very like good ingredients, like because I'm making mole. So I want to bring like the right chilies and the right stuff some stuff that I cannot get here. So I'm excited.
I'm super under pressure because we're also making mole, and we're definitely not gonna have as good of stuff or the training that she has. So I'm feeling like Chef Chris, which is a Pan Con Podcast Hall of Famer. He was like, so how are we gonna do mole? And she's doing mole. I'm like, it's totally fine. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, listen, her mole is going to be better than ours. We just need to try our best. And he was like, you've never said that before. I'm like, listen, you got to know what you're going up against. Like, it's totally okay to be, like, I'm a Hispanic dude. You're a white guy. Like, our mole is not going to be as good, but we're going to try our best. He goes, oh, man, this is going to be a disaster. And I'm like, it's cool. Disasters are fun.
We can all make mole together. It's okay,
Yeah, I love that.
It's good. We can all make mole together.
Go ahead.
I'm imagining like a kitchen stadium situation. Mole!
No, but the mole that I make is like very unique because from where I'm from, Veracruz, is it's actually the city where the Spaniards came in. Like Hernan Cortés came through Veracruz. He founded Veracruz. So a lot of the ingredients that we use in our even traditional cuisine, they have a lot of Spanish ingredients. So the mole in Veracruz is a mole that it's like kind of like adapted, or it's like a finer mole. It's one of the finer moles. Like you use hazelnuts, you use almonds, sometimes you even use nuez de Castilla. Like it's a very fine, like a little bit on the sweeter side mole, but still you got all the smokiness from like the ñora. You even use some Spanish peppers on it. So I mean, it's my favorite. For me, it's my favorite because
I can't wait to try this.
Yeah, so it's good.
I love that. Well, so that will be November 16th, I think, right?
Yes.
November 16th, and I think it's going to be a good time. I think Wind Down Now is good.
Very good. This is where we do our wind down. We start with parting recommendations. That is where you can recommend to people who are watching and listening absolutely anything, as long as it's not yours. It could be a book you read, a show you watched, a song you heard, a place you went, whatever at all. Anything, as long as it's not your thing, because then we'll do all the plugging your own stuff after. So you can go first, or you can have us
go first.
Give you some time.
I got it.
I know.
Okay, you didn't prepare me for this.
I don't prepare for this shit either.
Yeah,
Parting recommendations.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go for it.
So, I just finished the first season of the new Game of Thrones. What is it? House of the Dragon.
I think that's right.
Some shit like that. And the end of the first season is just like, I was so mad. Have you watched this show?
Not all of it, but yeah, I know. Game of Thrones.
Wait till you get to the finale. Fuck me. I was so pissed at the fucking finale. I was like, how are you going to leave me hanging? They haven't even started like filming season 2. And you left me like that at the end of season 1. Fucking trash. I was so pissed. And I'm jacked up for season 2. Thank you for bringing back season 2. That's great. Pissed though. Also, equally, I have started watching. I am now on season 2 of Yellowstone. Kevin Costner is a legend. He's a legend. I don't know a man that could be so many different things. He could be Waterworld. He could also wear a cowboy hat and do what he's doing. I recommend that show also. And I don't know why. I have gone down this rabbit hole of Robin Thicke music. I'm also not against it. I don't know if I totally recommend it, but there's some songs in there that are pretty fucking good. Also.
Is there a song that comes immediately to the top
Lost
of your mind?
Without You.
Interesting.
It's a good one.
I mean, I would say, yeah, that's a very well known.
I mean, yes, it's well known. It's not like it was on my playlist.
Right.
But he crushed that song. It was very good.
Yeah. So you're more of a Lost Without You guy than a Blurred Lines guy.
Yes.
Great.
I would say so. Yeah, it's good.
Great.
Are you under pressure now?
Yeah.
I've done all of mine. Now it's your turn.
Oh my gosh. Last show I watched, the Jeffrey Dahmer show. And I watched it with Dahmer. Oh, I watched it with my sister, so I got the whole fucking psychological why is he like that? Breakdown of everything. So very interesting. Messed up head. I don't watch a lot of TV. I think that book, last book I read by Jorge Bucay. I read a lot of psychology books as well.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Who knows what you've surmised about me and Nick in the last like 2 hours, right? Like, Jesus Christ.
And then the book is called El Camino de las Lágrimas. It's not like a depressive book. It's just a very interesting book about perception, about how not being attached to either things, people, or situations, and how to grow out of like it's very interesting book. And music, I'm also weird with music.
That's good. I love that. Weird is good.
I love classical music.
Oh, same. I do too.
So I'm obsessed right now with Chopin. Well, it's number 7 because I play the piano. So when I get a song, I'm obsessed with it. So I listen to it before I like learn it because I want to like if the song tells me something, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna spend this time learning you. So
I'm gonna note here. It may not have occurred to you, but this is good information going into this dinner. There is a piano at the Gibson.
Yeah,
you may need to
get
put
up
her
there and you can play it.
Yeah,
I'm shy.
Come on, just
maybe.
one.
Maybe after a couple gin tonics, I will.
I love that.
I will.
We can provide that.
Yes,
that's good.
unfortunately, yes. Yeah, I think, and now it's Tchaikovsky season, so it's coming. I'm obsessed with Tchaikovsky and the Nutcracker. I've liked the play so much, like the music, because I spent a whole summer like learning it, that I've never actually watched the ballet. Because I've
never watched the ballet either.
I've never wanted to watch it if it's gonna be mediocre, because I love the music so much that I'm like, I'm not gonna screw it. I'm just gonna like enjoy the music.
This is the first party recommendation that involves classical music, and I love that.
I'm
you're right.
sorry.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
little.
sorry.
Don't be sorry. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Weird like that.
I'm going to recommend a thing that I sent you. I'm going to recommend that people follow a chef in Havana.
Oh yeah.
So the Instagram account is Raulito Bazuk. So RAULITOBAZUK. Honestly, I do not know very much about this person, except that he has a restaurant called Grados in Havana. And according to some things that I found, he might be the only chef in Cuba doing a tasting menu.
Wow.
At least that's what one food blogger in Cuba had to say about him. It's very interesting in that, like, I don't want to go into too much of the political thing because he's there, but he's somewhat outspoken and not shy about who he follows over there. Anyway, he came to our attention because he posted a thing. Apparently follows Pancon Podcast, which is wild.
Shocking.
Which is wild. Like I ended up in a DM thing with him, and anyway, I will read apologies to the non-Spanish speakers, but I will read this caption to a thing that mentions Ariette. Which is, again, like, blows my mind.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it blows your mind more than mine.
Yeah.
But this is a caption on an image that says, La cocina cubana no existe, punto. Which, to me, it's... And scrolling through this guy's feed and reading captions, it's fascinating to see, like, to kind of get in the head a little bit of a person who's trying to do what you guys do independently in a place that is as restricted as it is, that like it's very different circumstances from anywhere else really in the hemisphere. Every place has its own unique things, but Cuba has its things. So I'll read this in Spanish. Apologies to the, skip forward a minute or so if you don't want to deal with this. Hablemos, conversémoslo. Hace un tiempo le escuché esta frase a un amigo. Es más, se la escucho a cada rato, más preciso una vez cada 1 o 2 años, porque me la dice a mí cada vez que viene de visita. Cuando aquello, al principio, me sonaba mal, me hería algo, hoy me es más leve. Tanta coma para explicar algo es como meterle más ingredientes a una receta para que quede bien. No vamos por buen camino. Si llamarle versos sencillos a un menú de degustación no es una idea que representa a lo cubano, pocas cosas lo harán. cuando la idea surge y se materializa fuera de Cuba por un joven americano de Estados Unidos descendiente de cubanos con su equipo, de la medida de la transformación de las cosas. Es cocina cubana hecha fuera de Cuba. Dice mi yunta además que 200 y pía años de historia no son nada, que la comida cubana es todo un invento, y digo yo que Rafa Baró no esté aquí es una desgracia, y que si el libro El Rey Langosta de Smith, el cocinero cubano decano, es un mojón, con todo el respeto que se merece, ¿para qué hablarte de lo que vino después, y que los churros y el arroz con leche son españoles, y que no jodan tanto con el sincretismo, que de comida africana en la isla no hay casi nada? A nadie le importa aquel continente, ni siquiera a los cubanos afrodescendientes. Incluso el verdadero pánfilo lo cinceló al láser en nuestras memorias de diamante para siempre. Jama. Aquí lo que hace falta es jama. Pero, siempre hay un pero, o dos. Repito, hoy me es más leve lo que dice el Bache, que es el socio de quien les hablo, de que la cocina cubana es una falacia. ¿Qué le voy a hacer? Pero no me convence totalmente. El restaurante donde se sirven versos sencillos es Ariete y está en Miami. Donde se va a servir la tea es en Grados. Está en La Habana y aún no tiene página de Instagram. To me, that was like this crazy, like, to be in that position of like it's especially contrasting it with you, right? Like where like you're doing a tasting menu for this thing that you have that distant and he's in it, and he's like, am I doing a tasting menu for a thing that even exists? Like, what is this? What are we doing? And then like that he's grappling with that question, you know. Anyway, so like that, there's like a bunch of things like scrolling through, and it's interesting to see, you know, somebody who's in that position in a place where the circumstances are so different and they have such a different understanding of the culture, and we're here kind of relating to some of us relating to a version of the culture that's 60 years old, and people who are getting here more recently having this weird syncretism of like old and new generations, and people over there like, what the fuck even is this? What are we doing? So anyway, that's the thing that I'm recommending, is follow Raulito Bazuk for a very different chef follow.
It's a very different chef follow.
Yeah. That's all I got.
All right. I guess we can do party recommendations.
Or shameless plugs.
Oh, yeah.
And now shameless plugs. Karla, tell everybody where they can find you and your things on the internet and on the street, maybe.
On the street.
Tell everybody all the things about you that people should follow and know.
I mean, my Instagram is Chef Karla Hoyos and Tacotomía MX because of Mexico. We'll be opening the next month. Where can they find? Yeah, no, that's it.
That's it.
Where else?
Michael.
All the things.
All the things. And finally, you can find Pan Con Podcast on all of the social media things at Pan Con Podcast. Not Panko Podcast, not Pumpkin Podcast, not Pinko Podcast, but Pan Con Podcast, like a podcast sandwich. Patreon.com/DADEMAG to give us every penny of your money.
All of it.
All of your money. And that's it. Thank you very much. Karla, are we doing a lightning round here?
I think we can do a lightning round.
I think we're doing a lightning round, so if you are paying us on Patreon, you get this.
Pay us all your money. It's just $1 a month.
Yeah, you
is it just $1 a month?
You can do more. There are certain perks to paying more than $1, but you can do $1 a month, and you will get, for $1 a month, you will get access to, among other things, the following lightning round with Chef Karla Hoyos.
Well, I mean, we should. Thanks for being on this, and now to the lightning round.